Hello everyone and welcome back to the stream. We are here for PRF1, the Fangio Division, taking up round 3, around the fastest of the fast street circuits at Saudi Arabia. And boy oh boy, this is going to be one hell of a test for the drivers today, as they'll be taking on not only the full qualifying sessions but also 25 laps of the Jeddah Corniche circuit. I believe that's what it's called. I think I got that correct. Who knows? Sounds like Cornish pasty. 27 whole corners, majority of them extremely high speed, if not flat out, with the assist of 3 DRS zones along the start-finish straight, being the first one, second one being on the run towards turn 22 from turn just after turn 19, and the last being on the exit at turn 24 down to the final corner, where we'll see our best overtaking opportunities happen into that elongated hairpin at turn 27. But all is not over when you make that move, as that DRS detection point comes just before turn 27 for the start-finish straight, in which case the drivers will get a chance to reassume their position ahead of whoever overtakes them. Couple of things then to go into. We look at the drivers' standings. Axel picking up yet another race win in the British Sprint, as that today was. Didn't quite win the sprint race, that went to Apple in the end, but still came on top in the main event, which is where your big points are scored, and hence why he scores the top amount of points from that day. Second top was Josh Godwin, but he still scored the same amount of points as Apple did, who also picked up the fastest lap of that race. A very wet outing in Britain, which saw a couple of people struggle, one of them being Spread, who still maintains his position in third at the moment, but has been caught up by both Apple and Big D in their respective cars. A few other people a little bit down the order. Fatal finally picking up some points for the first time for the Alpine team, carrying it at the moment, with Curse not being present and still not being present yet. But teams is a different type of situation. We go have a quick look at that current table. Sauber stay at the top of the standings with a huge points haul in Britain. Very well done to the two drivers of Theo and Axel. Williams jump up to P2 and Red Bull jump up to P3, both of them getting ahead of Aston Martin, who had a disappointing weekend. I say weekend, disappointing day even, last time out. Mercedes, another big jumper along with Ferrari, as they get ahead of Haas. The RB, or Racing Bulls, or Cash Up vis-a-vis Cab 2-for-1 Special, up in 8th, ahead of Alpine in 9th. McLaren dropped to the bottom of the standings after a poor show from them in Britain. That is the current situation. And 2 rounds in of this, what I believe is a 20-round championship. Yes, it is a 20-round championship with 4 sprint events, one of which we have already done. Next one doesn't come until later. Next one, I believe, at Japan. That's the 16th of August. Quite a way away for that one. All eyes are attention at Saudi Arabia. It is who dares wins, really, at this circuit. The walls are ever so near at a lot of these corners, and hugging the walls is exactly what you want to be doing at this circuit, and able to get your best sort of lap time. And a couple of examples like in the real Formula 1, Verstappen on what was potentially going to be one of the best laps in qualifying back in 2021, went slightly wide at the final corner and skirted across the exit barrier, which saw his qualifying session come to the end, and the end of what would have been quite a hell of a lap, completely on the limit as it was, but never made it to the light of day. with the error in the final corner. Latifi's also been one to be claimed in that final corner, caused safety car back in 2022. And good, unbelievable overtakes also happening. A great battle with Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen back in 2023. Both breaking for the DRS on that start-finish straight. We'll probably see maybe some of that when we get into the racing action. But first we'll have 3 sessions of qualifying to determine the grid in the normal standard format that you see in Formula 1, the Q1, Q2 and Q3. Top 15 progress into Q2, top 10 progress into the Q3, also known as the top 10 shootout for pole position. And the race here can be won from pole, but it all depends on how good your race start is, and if you can break away from the DRS, which it's going to be a lot harder to do, considering that DRS is activated just after one racing lap here. Me forgetting again to put stream mode on there to shut that up. We're off to a great start. As always, prepared. Rightio then. So Q1, we've got 19 drivers for this session. Top 15 will progress on to the next session. Who will go through, who will lose out? Only 4 people will lose from the session, there being 19 drivers. So far, the ones who have currently struggled the most in qualifying, Fatal, struggling to progress into Q2. We've also seen the likes of some shrub releases from Atkins, who's sometimes not been able to put the pace down. Jesus, Dark Lord, not being the best of qualifiers, but Jesus does sometimes creep his way even into Q3. His pace slightly on the improvement. I think one of his goals for the season was to improve the qualifying pace. But one thing is said. Sorry, I just distracted by the comment. Yes, Godwin, the P2 merchants. Operation P2 well and truly underway. A record of P2 finishes so far. P2 in overall in Britain last week, and the week before that P2 in Australia. One thing is also certain, we've got P1 merchant Axel on 2 race wins back to back. Can he make it 3 in a row? Only time will tell. So, speaking of the devil, who's been honestly on a new level, in all fairness, here comes Axel to start the first flying lap then of this session. Heavy braking into turn 1, early flick and getting it nicely lined up on the curbs. Exit curb to turn 2, line it up nice and straight ahead. Down towards turn 4 we go then. Make sure he doesn't turn too early, otherwise he'll clip the inside wall. Gets a bit skirtish on the acceleration going through this snaking left-right section before we end off sector 1 and head into sector 2, starting with the banked left-hander here. Wide entry, keep it tight to the middle for letting it run right to the walls. Much tidier through there, keeping it close to the walls through the rest of this sector. Dabber brakes into 5th gear, acting a little bit too much on the curbs on the inside, but it's not going to settle in too much here. Now again, this part all about keeping close as you dare to the barriers to maximise the time. He doesn't need to go super push, he'll easily see himself through this qualifying session with his pace. Now it is just flat out down towards the final corner, where you really need to think about your braking zone, think about the line you wanted to take. Traffic just staying out of the way there. Cuts to the inside, run right to the edge of the wall before you foot down as close as possible to the inside to go across the line, and it is going to be a 1:27.986 from current championship leader Axel, current pole holder really. Although in fairness didn't get pole in Britain, but still converted into a race win. Misfits in the Mercedes then. How does he respond to the times that currently set? Arctic's goal on a 29.3. Dare I say we'll probably go a bit quicker than that in this session. One thing to notice is sometimes we will see a couple of people using those medium compound tyres, and the mediums in fairness in qualifying haven't exactly been very bad. And the tyres around this circuit don't actually wear too bad, considering it is a lot of high speed corners where you get really much unloading the tyres, especially on the fronts. The Mercedes here is going to get a bit of a distance tow from the Haas ahead. A few more drivers getting the lap times on this. This is a 30.9, 30.8 from Fatal, gets ahead. Davies on 30.2. I reckon 130s probably might not see you safe through this session. And I reckon that those guys will probably be going again later on. Oh, I tell a lie, Curse is here. I thought he wasn't here. My apologies, we have got Curse back in the car. And he goes second fastest, 28.3. Ollie Champ riding the back to left-hander before progressing through the rest of sets 2. Be careful about your braking point here, and the wall on the inside can sometimes catch people out. Correction of the steering. We have been seeing quite a lot of that in Ollie Champ from the practice session beforehand. The back end not being very comfortable with his car. Will it improve in the race? That is to find out. A little bit unlucky, Ollie Champ at the moment. Unfortunate DQ in Australia, where his car sort of got a bit stuck in the pit lane and very quickly got DQ'd by the game, which is just unfortunate. It got classed as a DNF though, because it just wasn't a DQ in reality. But nothing you can do about that. He has to head up and move on. Picked up a few decent points in Britain, but in reality, you'd like to see him a bit further up the order, where he has had the pace to match some of the front runners and get to the top of that midfield battle. Greza filling in as reserve driver in the Red Bull, getting impeded by some traffic there. That was the Williams not quite moving out the way. That was Godwin in the Williams. Already picked up a bit of trouble in the Tuesday division, where slight hold up on a different driver. He got a penalty point for that one. Will anything be said about that? It definitely got a little bit in the way. Not going to affect the Red Bull too much, but it was a bit on the limit. Who knows if that gets reported or not. But he's going for a lap here. Pace has been, for Godwin, hasn't quite been up matching the likes of Axel. Might be able to do it on a one lap pace, but in terms of when it comes to the race, sort of drops off a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. It is still technically early stages of league racing on this F1 24 game. And you still get a lot of people trying to adjust to how they want to use the battery deployment during the race, how they want to use the battery deployment on the battle for pole. Obviously the big different introduction on this game is full play of the ERS mode yet again, and that goes through to qualifying, where hot lap doesn't burn off all your battery straight away, which is why you see drivers use the overtake button to get that extra bit of power deployment along the straights of this circuit. Godwin goes third fastest, slots just behind Curse, and slips comfortably ahead of Tom a bit of a gap between P4 and P3 at the moment, but the main attention is going to be looking down towards the bottom end of the grid, where we'll see the drivers either eliminated or going through. As we were saying beforehand, the two Aston Martin guys are going to be looking to do a bit better this weekend. Sorry, I keep saying this weekend. Do a better this race day, as they certainly found themselves struggling. And that is Greza retired. And looking at that, it is a crash. Greza has crashed out then, and that is down at on the exit turn 2. Crikey. Not gone well then. He is out. Technically still through into the next session, but out. So even if he does make it through, he won't be able to participate in the session. So that's a worry. That's a worry to be doing that sort of mistake in qualifying, as you're then a bit out of sorts. You sat there waiting for, well, quite a long time to get into the race. And it dints your confidence as well. You think, right, well, we best not do that, best take it a bit calmer. It affects your overall pace. Theo, on the other hand, with an invalidation here, but looks like he might be going again, but I don't think he's got enough fuel. Yes, he's coming into the pits. Sat in the drop zone. In fact, drivers are all sat in the drop zone yet to put a lap time on the board. That includes Spread, Theo Akadri and Adam Halford. A returning name from yesterday, we can see Andy. You did that lap on the mediums, 42.0. Go back into the pits, obviously he'll be going again. And whack it on a set of softs, I would imagine. All these guys are coming into the pits. We're going to go with someone who's sat in their lap. That's the Spread. He's been up there, sort of holding P4, holding down the top 3 area on his own accord. Struggled in the rain at Britain. And the practice session hasn't been a big thing to boast about for Spread, but let's see what the reality develops into qualifying. Good first sector, especially through this winding left-right sort of S's type of section, before we get into sector 2 then. The banked left-hander first, keep it tight to the inside. Bit of hesitation on throttle pickup on the exit there, but it's nothing too major. It's still been a pretty clean run so far. Back end just stepping out as it just mounts ever so slightly onto the curb. That could be the effect of the new update, where the curbs are meant to be a bit more harsher in terms of traction and grip. And tiding the line through there, not the quickest. Onto the back straight, towards the final corner we go. Pick out your braking point. You can already see marks from people locking up into the final corner as he now heads down to the start finish line. Where does this lap put him? Up into P8, 29.3. Could be okay on that one. We've got a lot of people in the 130s as it stands. I was going to say another person that drops in who was on 1 was Akadre. He does 9th, just behind Spread, 29.6. Bit of a gap between them two at the moment, near 2 tenths. Could this be the first circuit where we have our first sort of bigger gaps in qualifying than what we're normally used to, where the gaps, to be fair, this only come at the top where Axel is. And, well, in tradition, he's still up there with a bit of a gap to curse behind and Goldwyn as well, which is more testimony to just show how great Axel is. He's in an absolute great form here going into this new season on the new game, and he is definitely hungry to get a title to his name. Couldn't quite do it last time out on the end of the F123 game. Cameron beat him to the title on that one. Cameron looking to return to the racing action on the Formula 1 game. He's thrown in the retirement title. He's done the Nico Rosberg. He's got his titles and he's out of here. Adam Halford then, what can he do in the Mercedes? Where will he slot it? Currently in the drop zone without a time on the board. Same for Theo. The people who have got times on the board are in the drop zone is Dark Lord and Andy. I reckon this one might drop fatal into that one as well. Here we go. Coming up to the line now. Where's it going to put in? 4 fastest, 28.6. Not a bad lap indeed there from the Mercedes. Getting right involved in it. So like I said, that drops Misfits into... sorry, not Misfits. Drops fatal into the drop zone. As Misfits goes out on track to look to improve on his lap. Here comes Theo, rounding out the final corner. Again, Tony I also expect to get himself inside that top 15. Heading towards the line. Where's it going to be? It's 29.3. That's pretty good. And now we're starting to look at a potential 29.9, 29.8 for a cut-off time to make it into the next session. So, currently in the drop zone we have Jesus, Misfits, Fatal Fights and the Dark Lord down in 19th. It does show Grezza as 15th, but obviously it's still technically through into the next session. He is out though, crashing as he says he is stupid. He's not wrong. But the next up who's really in the danger zone is Davies in P14, the other Red Bull driver. Could this be a double Red Bull knockout? Potentially, these times are quicker than I thought they would be. Well, the first season already comes on this game. We don't quite know exactly whereabouts we're expecting the cut-off times even to be at. I'll tell you what, that nearly got a bit dicey with track limits. Cheeky bit of extra slipstream from the Sauber, but make sure he doesn't get much advantage from that one. DRS down towards turn 22, I believe it was. Far back on the power, heading down towards turn 27 now. Big old step on the brakes will lock up, you can hear on the rear. As exits the final corner, he needs some decent improvement here. Probably a 4/10 will be a comfortable one. It's not enough. Stays 17th fastest and really running out of time as well. As I believe it might be less than a couple of minutes. As a yellow flag just seemingly blocking me from being able to see that. Another person out there, Dark Lord, currently up by 4/10, needs a good second and a bit to see him get up out of that drop zone. He's got some slipstream, pick it up from his teammate. The two Aston Martin drivers helping each other out. It could be crucial, that bit of slipstream, to get some extra positions here, but is it going to be enough to get him out of the drop zone? Here we go, heading towards the line, sat in 19th, where's it going to put him? Stays 19th, improved by 6/10, but doesn't improve his position, and that's a big lockup going down into the escape road at turn 1. So that will mean that Lord will not make it through into Q2 as the time is running out, and I think it's same is going to be said here for Misfits as well. It's down to Fatal and Jesus to see if they can get themselves out of that drop zone. Scott's crashed. As another person who's crashed, I just realised that Scott is out. And also another person who can't participate in Q2, even if he makes it through. A lot of people out there improving. Got personal bests coming in for a lot of these guys. Is it enough for Jesus? Yes, Jesus does get himself through. That drops Davies into the drop zone, but he is out. And on a lap, and he goes across the line, gets himself back in the top 15, and that drops Grezza out, but obviously he's already dead in the barriers. Atkins next one at risk. Misfits, like I say, not improving. Fatal, it goes into the pits. That could be the saving grace that Atkins would have liked to see. I think that might see him just making it through into Q2. whereas one Red Bull might have been able to drag themselves out of the drop zone. The other, not only in the barriers, but out of Q1. And at the moment, I have to say, it doesn't look good for the other Red Bull being able to get into that top 10 shootout. Pace ramping up in terms of track evolution here. Just a few people still out on track, driving about. The other person who's looking to improve their lap time is Arctic Skull in the McLaren. Doesn't need to, but probably would have liked to see where he can improve his position to. Heading down that back straight now, using up all the available overtake towards the final corner. Well, he's going to get a few cars there, just staying right away on the inside there. And the exit here, where does this show his improvement to? Will it be into the 28s? No, not quite. It's only a very slight improvement. Had a poor set to 3 on that time. Goes 8th fastest overall. Another person who is out of the RB of Scott, found in the barriers as well. So, although he made it through to Q2, he won't be taking part in Q2, which means we'll have 14 runners. Which means again we'll lose the bottom 4 from that next session, where we're probably looking at cut-off times of very low 29s, potentially even 28s, dare I say. Hello, but welcome to the channel. Just missed out. Ooh. It's a potential hold up for Fatal as he points that Scott nearly got collected by both Scott and Atkins. Ah, so could that have potentially been a chance for Fatal to get into Q2 and maybe just getting held up? Oh dear, oh dear. Well, if that's naughty RBs, then they could see themselves penalties coming through, which will add to their great runs in qualifying. The quicker of the 2 RB drivers currently out and in the barriers. As you can confirmation there on your screen, Axel quickest yet again, ahead of Curse and Godwin EP3. And into Q2 we go then, wait for the green light at the end of the pit lane. Ah, so that's what happened. So, just confirmation there from Fatal. Getting held up when Scott crashed and had to take avoiding action, which means he lost time and bailed on his lap. Unfortunate receiving end of an accident. Let's see how it plans out in this tutorial about that one. But we got Q2, 15 minutes of this session to determine who will make it through to the top 10 shootout. Or the battle for pole position, or whatever you prefer to call it. Axel, yet again, as always, quick to get back out there. And I reckon probably on a used set of soft tyres, as he's going to be fairly comfortable in terms of getting through. Like I say, he's on form. You can't fault him. On form. Does he get beaten out there today? Who knows? Will Curse or Godwin be able to just push the pace that little bit harder and get just that ever so slightly closer to Axel? Obviously, when we get into the race, we do see that these guys can stay within the DRS and the slipstream of Axel, but in terms of the 1 lap pace, just being that little bit off, sort of around the 3-4 tenths off per session at the moment. Obviously, last time in Britain, where we had the wet weather affected races, dry qualifying, Apple obviously took the pole position away from Axel that time round, so he is beatable. Just who can challenge him? Here we go. And yet again, starting out with Axel flying through this Jericho street circuit. Now what's happening? I yet again forget to get the dashboard up. Here we go, we can see. So, oh yes, I can confirm that is definitely used tyres on the Sauber. 2-0 then in the first sector, which is quicker than the Williams of Godwin. There's 32.7 in the first sector. Big mount of the curb, gets very close to the wall on the exit there. Not exactly ideal, but I'm sure it will stroll on through. Just to point out there, Tom in the Ferrari does 34 in the first sector. It's 29.5 for Axel, 28.8. 28.5, sorry, 20 for Axel, 28.8 for Godwin. A little bit more closely matched, but still going quicker in this session. And coming up to the line, it's 28.1 for Axel. Huge, 29.2 in response from Godwin, and that's nearly a second off, just over a second off Axel's time. Tom goes up into P2 in the Ferrari, 28.8 for him. 30.1 for Jesus, definitely quick enough to see him through this session. Davies in the invalidation. Where's the other Sauber of Theo? Heading into the final corner. Where can he put his Sauber? As he comes to the line, 6th fastest, 29.6 for Theo. Kurse goes up into P2 ahead quite comfortably of Tom, and still behind Axel quite comfortably. As that looked like a lock-up from someone. I think that might have been Andy, who's also on the invalidation here. Only Champ in the house, starting his flying lap for the first time in Q2. Hesitant on turning in there, but gets away with it in terms of the track limits, just about, though, very on the limit. Bit of oversteer, just touching the curb there, but managed to hold it up towards that left-hander. Again, see it just take a nice wide run on the exit, right up to the wall, touches the wall that time though, as another snap of oversteer kicks in. Minor touch though, so doesn't get any damage, but will lose a little bit of top end speed. It's not going to affect him too much though. Coming up to a little bit of traffic as it stays well and truly out of the way. And just finds his line through the rest that sets to him for a little dab of brakes, flick it in for the quick left right chicane there. Onto the back straight we go. Not looking too bad, 32.5 in the first sector, 28.8 in the second sector. It's all about how he does this final corner. This could put him quite close to the top 5 here. Let's see where he goes as he crosses the line. It's 4th fastest, 29.0 ahead of Godwin. Not a bad lap there from the Haas driver. As we go back to Andy in the Alpine, who's also approaching that final corner. Looking to go a little bit quicker than Ollie Champ to displace him again inside that top 5 as well. Here he goes across the line, 3rd fastest overall, 28.7, just beating the Ferrari of Tom. So after most drivers have done their first flying lap, there's only 3 to do so, which is Atkins, Arctic and Halford. And Axel's confidence absolutely brimming as he retires nice and early. With confidence. And to be fair, why wouldn't you? We're definitely expected to get into the 127th here with Axel. Probably Kirsten and Andy as well, I'd imagine. They're right up there in the mix. Halford could respond there as well. He's not been too bad. My apologies. Got a win immediately back up there. Obviously wasn't happy with his banker time on the used soft tyres. Goes back on to brand new ones, I'd imagine, and looks to get right up in the mix and get him safely through into Q3. Like I said, the low 29s could be the cut-off time for getting through here. We're looking at Atkins, but we've got Arctic and Halford who are starting their laps on board with Arctic in the McLaren for the reserve spot today. Flying around the twisty bit of sector 1 here. Keeping it well within track limits, high revs in 5th gear, which is kind of need really to make sure you don't lose any speed or pick up any unwanted understeer. But saying that, picks up a lot of understeer on the exit there, which is not ideal as he approaches through the rest of sector 2. Slight touch to the inside curb, keeps the car steady though on the run to the second little dosage of DRS, just to help the cars along really, to keep them close before you get onto this back straight. Slight dab of brakes, 5th gear through here. Some drivers we've seen using 6th gear, but you know, 5th gear is also comfortable enough to let it work and avoid understeer. Down towards turn 27 we go. Huge coast moment through the apex of the corner as he's back on the power. Down towards the line we go. Halford went 3rd fastest, Arctic goes 8th fastest. And it's just Atkins then to put a time on the board. A reminder, it's only the top 10 that will make it through, meaning we lose 4 drivers from this session, and those 4 drivers that are in the drop zone at the moment is Theo in 11th, Davies 12th, Jesus in 13th, and Atkins in P14. Although Atkins just coming across the line now to put a time on the board, gets himself in 11th. Oh, but what was that? Back end disappears on the start finish straight, and that's a huge crash. And he is out of this session. Both RBs finding the barriers here, and out goes Atkins. Didn't make it through into Q3 with that lap, and definitely won't have a chance now that he's out of the session. So that confirms at least one spot who's out of the session for now. Godwin goes quickest, 28.0. And that is probably with the new soft tyres. Scenes there, and RB's not having the great run in qualifying. Although to be fair, by normal standards, they're used to that. Or at least RB fans will be definitely used to hearing a lap being said. Currently, most people in the pits, the people who are out on track, have already completed their laps. We're just waiting for the last possible minute for these guys to come back out and aim to improve their time. Currently sat in the danger zone then, spread in P10 on a 1 minute 29.475. Not too far away from the likes of Dre and Arctic Scalding. You've got a bit of a gap to Ollie Champ, 4 tenths, roughly, so to speak. And the first of these drivers to come back out is Andy in the Williams. He's sat in P5 on a 28.7. Probably a good enough, definitely a good enough time to see him through into Q3. But nonetheless, he goes back out as a pure safety in action. Big improvements are needed from the likes of Davies and Jesus, who are still in the 130s there on their banker lap times. Gonna need a bit of a Hail Mary, to say the least. Whereas Spread, Acdre, Arctic. Could be tight between them. Not much separating them at the moment. But if they want to be a bit more comfortable through, they need to find at least 3 or 4 tenths just to be comfortable. The main challenge really probably, well, it was originally going to be Atkins and Theo, but I think it might just be Theo who's going to be the main challenger to try and get themselves into Q3 here. As Curse Alfred going with confidence. Oh, Andy goes back into the pits. Just having a bit of an adventurous exploration lap. I think that's top 5. Coming through then, as they are all in the pits and all retiring. So top 5 at the moment is sorted. Tom goes back out in the Ferrari, save for Spread, Theo, Davies and Jesus. Still in the pits, Ollie Charm, Arctic Skull and Akadre. The other Ferrari does come out now with 2 minutes and 17 seconds left on the clock. It is fairly longish a lap. These guys are leaving it late if they're going out. And I mean very down late here. Arctic in the McLaren still yet to leave the pit garage. Could be at risk if it doesn't get moving shortly. On board with someone who's been quite comfortably through in most of these Q3 sessions. Found themselves a little bit of risk here. Needs to find some good improvements on the cusp of the drop zone. 3 turns 1 and 2, a bit hesitant on the throttle pickup there on the exit, but too major. Up to turn 4, 5 and 6 we go. Flick it in. Close to the inside wall there, a little bit of curb, don't hit that outside curb, otherwise it's pure doom, death and destruction. And now we head towards the start of sector 2, where as you have 2 tenths improvements, looking pretty good. Arctic does make it out the pits. He's got 1 minute 15 seconds to make it around the track. He might just make it. That ladder's going to be a bit nip and tuck with the McLaren. Keep an eye on spreads up and keep an eye on the time screens for those who are in the drop zone. 32.4 for Spread in the first sector, 32.5 for Davies, 35.2 for Jesus. Suggesting he's going to have to do a double womp there. Let's see how second sector goes for these two. 28.7 for Spread, 29.0 for Davies. And here we go then, up towards the line for Spread. Does he see himself through? A good improvement, 28.9. I reckon he might see himself through with that one. Ollie Chample, the invalidation. All eyes switched. Theo's Davies improves up to P11 but stays in the drop zone. He is out of qualifying. Theo did a 32.4 in the first sector, matching the Aston Martin of Spread. Good signs for the Sauber driver. Could both Saubers get through to Q3 here? 28.7 in the second sector. Jesus has to bail into the pits. He's out. All eyes between Dre, Skull and Theo to see who gets through out of these 3 drivers. Who gets knocked out even. Across the line, Theo, big improvement, 6th fastest, drops Dre into the drop zone. Crucial laps for these two. It is all to play for. Big improvement, 3 tenths up for Akadre in the Ferrari. Only champ who didn't invalidate his lap now could be a potential risk for dropping out of qualifying here. Here we go, up towards the line we go. But I don't know what's going on with the ERS there. Big improvements, goes stiff fastest, 28.7. Ollie Champ in the pits. How much improvement has Arctic Skull made? Or is he improving at all? This is all decided if Ollie Champ will make it through or not. Tom improves, 3rd fastest. Arctic does make it through into Q3, which means Ollie Champ is out of qualifying. for someone who's not had the best of starts to his season. That's a bitter disappointment for the Haas driver. Ecstatic for Theo in the Sauber, who makes it into Q3 with his teammate. This could be yet another big points haul if he can keep this pace up in the race. Spread just making it through by the skin of his teeth as well. Aston Martin, both of the Aston Martin drivers struggling, but one of them makes it through to Q3, which is crucial in terms of being able to stay with that midfield DRS train. A second then, under a second separating the top 10 in that qualifying session, with Godwin lining out on top this time. Axel just a tenth behind in P2, and Tom in the Ferrari getting it into P3 for that session. But now all comes down to the shootout for pole position coming up next in a moment. The people who are out of this session: Ollie Champa in 11th, Davies 12th, Atkins crashing out on the start finish straight in 13th, and Jesus out in 14th place. A disappointing result for both Hasses as they are out of qualifying. So, who gets pole position then? Axel being very quick. His banker run on his ultra tyres means he's got at least 3 sets of softs to take him through this Q3 session. I'd imagine he'd be saving one of those sets for the race, just in case of a last minute safety car, which is never too far away. Of course, his first time, he is wanting to lay down the gauntlet as soon as possible here. Understandably. For a moment I thought my RB button was broken. That just wasn't changing. So Axel, as always, the favourite here to get pole position. Godwin, Tom, Curse and Halford coming in with a bit of an outside challenge here. It could be another exciting battle for P2 on the grid to get alongside him on the front row. The all important question is, can they beat this man? And where can Theo put his other Sauber? If these two can get quite close or relatively close enough to each other in qualifying terms of positions, could become very helpful in the race in terms of tactics and strategy. Always a big plus to have your teammates in the same session as you, or where having roughly in the same sort of area of track in the race as well. Something Max Verstappen hopes for with Perez, but that becomes much less imperative nowadays. Here we go. Let's see then, what can Axel do on the run towards turn 1? First time Q3, this could be a belter of a lap. Look how much speed he takes through the first part of that tight chicane, and then hard on the power down towards turn 4. How close does he get to that inside wall? It's getting closer and closer, not quite at the peak of its limits just yet. But he gets very close. Big cut on that inside curb, and that is fantastic line through there. That is very fast indeed. A 31.7 in the first sector, fastest first sector time we have seen so far, as he pushes right towards the exit of the wall, down towards turn 11, I believe this is. Dab of brakes. He's back on the power for the second dosage of DRS. Car just up ahead. He's going to stay well out of the way. Doesn't want to give the Sauber any more extra speed. Purple in the second set to 28.4 through there. As we now powering along that back straight. Not a lot of battery left for deployment. Could slow down a little bit here. on the run towards turn 27. Big hard on the brakes. A lock up there on the front left, leaves him a little bit wide from the apex. But as we head down towards the line, it is going to be a 27.5 from Axel on the first run. What can Godwin do? He's invalidated. Not much with that. Here comes Curse though. He's the next one to cross the line after that. 27.8. Some 3/10 behind Axel. We've got Tom, I believe, in the Ferrari rounding out that final corner. His teammate Theo on a 29.3 on his first run. Looks to me like it was a potential bit of a banker lap. Tom, 28.3 in the Ferrari. Spread in the background, you can see coming across the line next, 29.0. Gets him ahead of the other Sauber. Godwin, another invalidation. And Akadre on an invalidation as well. He looks like he was going again, but we go on board with the McLaren of Arctic Skull as he heads down towards the on-board final corner. Under Halford, the only one who looks like he's going to be going for just the front. Oh no, I stand corrected. He's got the bits. Never mind. I was going to say he looks like he's the only one to go for one flying run here, staying in the bits. But no, he's come up now on the track. Arctic Skull 29.2, slots himself just ahead of the Sauber Theo. Godwin looks like he's going to be trundling his way back to the pits. With low fuel by all accounts. Akadre also bails out here. Andy next to come across the line. We know he's quick in SGR. What can he do here? Fourth fastest, 25, slots him just behind Tom in the Ferrari. Some pretty big gaps in this first part of Q3 then. It's going to be major disappointment here for Godwin, who hasn't been able to hook up his first run, which means he's only got one shot at trying to take away pole position from Axel. That's not how you go into the pit lane. I'm not going to lie, don't I? So, head on then with Halford, who's about to start his flying lap of the session. Definitely on new tyres by all accounts here. Heading down towards turn 1. Big heavy touch of the brakes. So much speed Axel was carrying through. Tried to match it. Compromised his line into turns 2 and 3. Now on the power towards turn 4 we go. A little bit further away from the barriers there, gets a bit wide as well for bad measure. Turn 7, 8, 9 and 10 comes ever so quick before we get into the banked left-hander. Slight dab of brakes, carry it, or sort of trail braking through the corner before you get back on the power run close to the barriers. Can confirm there's not a purple sector. 32.2 in the first sector, I think nearly 5/10 away from Axel compared to his first sector time. I have to admit, that first sector was pretty damn good. Not bad in the second sector though, 28.5 in response. Down towards far corner we go then. Hugging the inside one before letting it run wide for the racing line. Snaps it to the apex. Definitely looks like a better line than Axel through there. And on the run towards barriers, P3, 28.0. Gets ahead of Tom. Not a bad lap at all from Halford. If he bolts it round, he has a chance to get back into the pits and back out again for a final run. Or a final chance to try and get pole position. So, two drivers not able to put the lap time on the board just yet. That is Godwin and Akadre. They're going to be that little bit under extra pressure going into the final run for Q3 here. Curse not too far away, like I say, just 3/10 separating him and Axel at the top. Axel with an unbelievable first sector. Improvements still could be made though in his final sector. A little bit of time lost through the final corner as he went a little bit wide from the apex. But not much. A low 27 still very much on for Axel in terms of improving his final run. Can Halford respond? Can he get onto the front row? Talking nearly 5/10 between him and Axel. And Tom seems a bit out of sorts. Same for Andy. They think they can go quicker. Just try and close up to the front runners here. As they all wait in the pits for the last possible moment to come out on track. Get the best possible track evolution. Try and get clear air as well. And two people then. So a couple of people here with teammates in the same session. We've got Axel with Theo in the same session. Akadre and Tom, both the Ferraris, both Williams as well, through together. But in terms of the spread in the Aston Martin, Halford in the Mercedes, Arctic Skull in the McLaren, they do not have their teammates in the session to help them out with a tow or anything like that. We did see Spread earlier in Q1 give his teammate a tow to try and help him through. Did not work, he's still at the bottom of the grid. Curse, Axel, not Axel, Curse and Theo. And Spread all back out on track. We haven't done a lap with Curse yet, so we'll give him a bit of airtime as he prepares. Starts warming up his tyres, so we can have a look at what type of temperature he likes to get his tyres up to. Quite a minimum amount of fuel in the car for Curse, giving it absolutely everything, as so you should really in the final qualifying session. Absolutely minimal amount of fuel possible you can take. Brand new tyres, brand new everything. Full send, go for it. 1 minute 12 seconds left on the clock for qualifying. Everyone out on track. Spread currently on his lap, and same for Theo. They're both starting their final run. And here we go, on board with Curse for his final run, his final shot at potentially trying to take pole position away here from Axel. Sits at the top, he needs over 3/10 in reality here to take him ahead. Into turns one we go, big cut on the inside, takes a lot of speed through there. Bit of a back end moment on the exit, but nothing too major. That's what turn 4 we go. Get right up to the edge of the barrier. Turns 5, 6 comes very quick at you. 7, 8, gotta keep it flat out round here. 9, 10. Pinned as he dare. Oh, he's turned in too early. He's invalidated. Oh dear. Went in too hard. And that is his shot over. Axel crashed. He's hit the barriers at the exit of. Oh no, my word, that's a lot of poo that's come out of a Ferrari. He'll be glad he ghosted that. He was very much balls to the walls of whether he'd be there or not. So, and Akadre's out as well. Akadre's hit the barrier at the same place. Disaster, and that has affected Halford. He's had to take avoiding action there. Unbelievable scenes here. Curse invalidates. Halford's invalidated. Everyone's invalidating. Improvements are spread. Still stays 6th fastest. Save for Theo. Still stays 7th fastest. Got ahead of Arctic Skull. This is potentially a good shout here for Godwin. No, he's invalidated as well. Unbelievable scenes. Who has a chance then? Tom? Andy? Can Arctic maybe upset? These guys have got the biggest chance seeing Axel go into the barriers here, and it's just stepped away from them. Here comes Tom then, to the line. Does he do it? No, stays 4th fastest. Andy's invalidated as well. Arctic and Prix stays 8th fastest. Godwin doesn't put a time on the board, and even after crashing, Axel will still hold pole position. A very lucky man. Curse, Godwin, Tom, Halford, they're all going to be kicking themselves here. A real chance for these guys to sneak a pole position off Axel here, and it's gone wrong. It's gone very wrong. That is the unfortunate thing of this game, Godwin. The track limits have become even stricter. You have got to be on the ball with staying within those white lines. Even if you think you're in, the game will just say, nah, mate, you're getting invalidated. No time on the board then for both Godwin and Akadre. Akadre found the barriers in the last run. Same for Axel. Curse with the invalidation, couldn't challenge, stays P2. Halford takes P3. Again, invalidation. And probably had to react to the crash car of Akadre. It's a bitter disappointment for Godwin. He's going to have a lot of work to do down in P9. Same for Akadre. He would have liked to get in a little bit closer to the mix. And like I say, fair play to Theo. Out-qualifies a fair few people there. Not too shabby at all. Quick little break then before we go into the main action here. Stay tuned as the race comes up next. And we can all have a little bit of a breather. Let's see then. Unbelievable spot in action all the way through. Not only have you got the excitement from league racing, FGL back in a roll, lovely race yesterday. If you haven't seen that, you can watch it back on Twitch, but stay tuned here. Don't go away just yet. There's about to be an epic race coming up. We've also had FPR 100 start their first season on this game, season 3, as it is. Had the excitement of the British Grand Prix. Obviously, Lewis Hamilton taking a 9th record win at a single circuit. Congrats to him. And for those who may be aware of this, Goodwood Festival Speed on at this weekend. A lot of new exciting new car models, a lot of people taking to the hill climb to try and beat the current record, which I believe is done by some sort of stupidly overpowered jet, what looks like jet powered car that beat the Volkswagen ID. And I think one of the biggest stories of them all in terms of spotted events, will England take it home all the way into the Euro finals? They made it into the final, beating the Dutch 2-1 with a brilliant game for the England team. They go up against Spain in the final. That is tomorrow at 8 o'clock. I'm sure everyone will be watching that, especially in England. Bit disappointing if you weren't. All eyes then to see the starting order for today's race. Axel, despite crashing in the final round of qualifying, still takes pole position ahead of Curse in P2. Halford gets third on the second row. Alongside him is Tom for company in the Ferrari. Andy P5 for the Williams, spread in P6. He'd be quite happy with that despite a struggle of pace. Theo, great performance for him in P7 in the other Sauber. Arctic score in the McLaren 8th fastest. 9th for Godwin, unable to set a time on the board due to invalidations. Akadre crashed in the final round of qualifying, again not able to set a time in Q3, so that's 10th. We're looking at the rest of the grid. Ollie Champ 11th, Davies 12th, Atkins in P13, Jesus 14th, Scott 15th, Greza 16th, Misfits in P17, Fatal 18th, Dat Lord 19th, and the late arrival of Vapor, the other McLaren, in 20th place. Full 20 car grid for Saudi Arabia. What could possibly go wrong apart from everything? Safety car chance, as always, extremely high around this circuit. 6.1 kilometres for these guys, and they've got 25 laps overall for them to complete in terms of a 50% race distance. The compounds of tyres these guys have for option in the race is the C2 the hard, C3 the mediums, and C4 the soft compound tyre. Tyre wear isn't particularly super high overall. You can get away with some decent stints even on the soft tyre. Hards, as always though, completely bulletproof, but the main race compound that we'll probably see used are the mediums, the C3s. Looking to be potentially the best raced type of compound tyre. Here we go then, underway for the formation lap. Let's have a look then at what these guys have decided to start their race on. We've got a bit more of a mix compared to usual here, and even inside that top 10. Godwin is always starting on the soft tyre, the only driver to do so far in this game, I believe. And on the hards we've got Greza, Scott, Halford and Curse, interestingly. Everyone else opted to start on the medium compound tyres. As I say, they're looking to be the favourite to go into the race. And like I say, Axel on that front row, his main job is to lead them going into turn 1 and desperately try and break the DRS. He's got an advantage considering the two behind him are on the hard compound tyres. This is his best chance to see if he can break away straight away. The DRS is, as always, activated on the first rate after the... let's retract that. DRS is activated after the first racing lap. Obviously not affected by VSCs, but if there's a full course safety car, then obviously we'll have to complete yet another racing lap before the DRS can become enabled again. Interesting to see how the Hasses do and the RBs. Both of them had pretty disappointing qualifying sessions. Same said for the Red Bulls. A bit further down the order than they would have ideally liked. Sauber on track to score big points if they keep this sort of pace and positions up in the race. The hard runners of Curse and Halford could become under pretty quick pressure, especially at the start, where we all know the hards take time to warm up and get into their own sort of natural performing window. The medium runners will have a good chance to try and get by nice and early. Soft runner of Godwin, yet again going the aggressive early opening stint. Do say even the AI, in fairness, go for that strategy. You can never get a good view, honestly. You can never ever get a good view. Here we go then. The lights come on. It's 5 red lights. And we are green at Saudi Arabia. That looks like a good start from the Ferrari of Akadre. I have to go on board with Andy as they go to turn 1. Sideways Sir Axel. Through goes Tom into the lead straight away. A bit more weaving and bobbing action in the background as bogged down for the McLaren. Spread going down the order. Godwin making up early positions, but that's a great start from Tom. Poor from Axel, who gets sideways into turn 1, but still somehow comes out in P3. Theo up to 6th place. Not bad from the other Sauber at least. Dropping down the order for Halford. Curse holding on to P2 on those hard tyres. Meanwhile, that's Sauber being overtaken by Godwin on the inside on those soft soft tyres, making early use of the better rubber. Spread all over the back of Theo as they're going through. The rest of set 2 now a bit wide and touching the barriers. Both of them touching the barriers. It's bad for the tyre wear, especially if they pick up any early damage from that. Even tyres get damaged from contact with the barriers in these new modern F1 games. They've got to be careful not to do it too often, otherwise they'll ruin their stint. Yellow flags at the back. Atkins having a bit of a problem. Not quite sure what happened to him. But what I can say, Axel goes ahead of Curse. Curse looking to get back ahead though as he tucks in for the slipstream of the summer. Both of them slipstreaming the Ferrari though, as Axel looks to try and get himself back into the lead. The Ferrari goes defensive on the inside line, holds them up nicely to give Curse the chance to go down. Axel's inside, nothing on towards happening just yet. Big gainers, Vapor up 9 positions already, up 4 for Godwin, 3 for Tom. We've got down 12 Arctic, he's into the pits, reckoning I probably had damage early on. Atkins down 6, Ollie Champ down 7, another poor start from Ollie. Really not going well for him so far in this early stages of every Grand Prix he's done so far, in all fairness, slash all honesty. So Halford's already got a bit of a gap to Godwin ahead, 1.1. Trying to close in, trying to get within the DRS. Obviously it is enabled straight away after lap 1. And all eyes on Tom and Axel out in front. Tom looking to try and get it back into the lead. They're all just stepping back. I think Tom could be under big pressure here. No DRS to help him in defence down the back straight. Here we go then. Axel already looking to go the long way round the outside. Ferrari trying to battle them here in terms of using that overtake button. Around the outside goes Axel. Hasn't quite made the move stick just yet, as this time Axel's the one without DRS. Curse now coming through on the pair of them. Heading in towards turn 1 we go. He doesn't get alongside Axel in that breaker point. Tom drops down to P3. Andy and Godwin still lurking in the background. Both the Williams doing quite well now up the order. As Curse trying to settle back in. Axel will try and pull away, but that's a crash! And it's Axel who, oh my word, that turn 4 section is claiming so many drivers, not just in qualifying, now in the race. Virtual safety car, surprisingly deployed. I'm surprised at a full safety car in all fairness. But VSC deployed. Racing is neutralised. Drivers have to drive to a certain delta time, and they've got to make sure they are not speeding over that delta, especially when it comes to the end of the VSC. Ow! As I said that, Jesus has been caught out. Speeding under the drive-through, speeding under the virtual safety car picks up a drive-through penalty. Davies is also going to flick that position and get ahead of the Haas. He will now have to come into the pit lane within the next 3 laps to serve that drive-through penalty. Here we go, further back, can see Vapor also getting past the Haas. In fact, looks to get past the Red Bull as well. Down the inside they go, very close. Neck and they're almost making contact, but they got through. Well played to the pair of them. But here comes Jesus trying to come back at them now. And towards the final corner we go. Davies is ahead in the braking zone. Vapor holding that inside line in terms of defensive strategy, and stays in P9 for now. Further up ahead, Godwin goes into the pits very early on here. Is that damage to the Williams potentially? They're all going very nip and suck. Akandre shooting up to P7. Scott looking at the inside of Davies, not quite going to find a way through. Fatal is up into P11. He's had a fantastic start to his race. Not too bad at all. Curse up in the lead ahead of Axel. Tom still in third. Halford much further down the order. I think Godwin picked up damage after his teammate crashed at turn 4, and he's had to go on to the hard compound tyres. They will comfortably go to the end of this race. Same for Arctic. They're so bulletproof around here, it's unbelievable. But they'll be slow at the end of the race if there's no more safety cars. Let's be honest, there's still a high chance. We've still got 19 drivers running in this race. The only person we've lost is Andy on the previous lap to the turn 4 Devil Corner, as I'm now going to call it. Here comes Tom, getting very close to the back of Axel, and he's in for a good run and got plenty of battery to use as well. going a bit more of a cautious approach in terms of battery deployment, but he's going full send here, trying to find a gap. He looked at the inside, the door was closed, looked around the outside, Axel was there already going for the move on Curse. They get a bit close on the exit as finally through goes Axel ahead. Both of them still got DRS, Curse still without DRS, trying something to come back at them. Axel placing his car very well, he knows which driver is more likely to attack him. Keeps to the outside line, preventing Tom from getting past, and now they both battle on the exit onto run third 4. It's very tight here. Tom backs out of it, makes sure he doesn't get any damage, but it's a penalty for track limits for Curse. 3 seconds already. We always see these track limit penalties. It is, like I said, it's so much harsher, the track limits on this game. You have got to be careful, and these are the things that are going to affect race finishing positions, especially if you get last minute safety cars. It could be complete curtains. It really could be. Let's go back into the midfield pack then. Fatal now starting to drop back a little bit. He's ran out of DRS from the cars ahead, and he's all over under pressure from Greza. He looks to go round the outside through there. I think Fatal knew that was coming, and for survival is the best opportunity here to keep going in this race. He's got Dark Lord, Ollie Champ, Misfits all over the back of him, but he's now coming back at Greza with that DRS assistance. Not going to make the move just yet. Needs a good exit out of here, and it is not too bad at 10.24. On towards the final corner we go. Not using any battery, just slipstreaming, charging the battery. It's enough to get quite close to have a challenge. Round the outside he goes, doesn't quite make the move just yet. Up ahead you can see Scott and Davies having their own little personal battle. In the background, Ollie Champ now getting past Outlord in the Aston Martin. Yet again, Fatal having a look round the outside, late on the brakes by the Alpine, goes a bit too deep, and it's allowed Ollie Champ to get right round the outside through turn 2, back on the racing line he goes. Down towards turn 4 we go. Late braking from the pair of them through there, and Ollie Champ just beats out the Alpine momentarily. That got very close and almost uncomfortably close to the barriers as well. Fatal struggling here for grip. Now going to get the pressure from Dark Lord. Is he going to go for the send in the bank corner? Thought about it. He definitely thought about it, but just couldn't get brave enough for the back end for the Haas. Stepping out in big fashion there. Train a la Greza, we're going to call that one. Further up ahead though, there's the 3 out front. The Ferrari gets very wide, picking up a back end issue as Axel is going to easily concede this position to Curse. As also Tom in the Ferrari going to get by up the inside, late braking, almost collecting the Alpine of Curse there. Axel with a great run on the outside line. The outside line into the final corner is huge and proving very beneficial. Curse being in this battle is great news. Tom with the fastest lap, 31.2, tries it on the outside and it's sideways and there's contact. Round goes Curse. Oh, but he's recovered it quite well in fairness. He just locked up the rears on the braking, and as the Ferraris come around the outside they do make a tiny bit of contact, but I don't think that's what unsettled his car. I think he lost it under braking going into turn 1 a little bit too deep. Big lock up on the rears. You saw the puff of smoke coming out from the Alpine. Theo up in 4th place, battling Halford, Spread, Vapor and Dre, leading that train of cars. Could, like I say, this could be huge, although saying that, he does have a time penalty to his name already. He's going to be careful with that one. And DRS trains are going to be very dominant and prominent. That's a nice little phrase for you. Oh, I'm quite proud of that one. Alright, anyway, moving on. Here we go. Greza still in that leading sort of back midfield train. You got the upper midfield train led by Theo, and then you've got the leading 3 that are about to go left, right and centre for the overtaking action. This time it's Tom under pressure and not having any DRS to assist him, but no, he's managed to sneak it back off Axel, who's now going to drop back down to 3rd. Kirby on to get ahead into the lead. The Ferrari momentarily looks to go back down the inside, but no. Curse leads ahead, and we've got a yellow flag out. That's for Misfits. Misfits finding the barriers down at the final corner. What's happened there? Is it potential contact with another car? And he is going to come into the pits. Doesn't look like he's got damage. Oh, that was a bit quick. Is that... yeah, I think we knew that was going to happen after seeing that. So Misfits out of this race, lap 8. With return in the pits after like some sort of contact in the final corner. Theo lost out to only Adam Halford out front. He is, in fairness, on those hard tyres. The hard tyres will probably start to come a bit more alive in this race, but I won't necessarily say they'll be the better tyre at this stage. I still think the mediums might just have the advantage, but we can get a bit of confirmation for why. And where we go. Actually, before we do that, here comes Spread looking down the inside momentarily. Theo leaves the space there just in case he does go through the move, but he hasn't. It's compromised his line on the exit here, and now finds himself under pressure by both the McLaren and the Aston Martin, who both of them get by. They're looking to go 3 wide potentially, as Theo just backs off, going into the final corner. Vapor ahead of Spread, followed up by Theo. Battle for P5. This has allowed Halford to pull away in this little battle. Here we go on board with the Sauber. As you see the Aston Martins down the inside into turn 1. Vapor holding his own. Switchback attempt there from Spread. Couldn't get the power down quick enough. Tap of the wall for the rear on Vapor's McLaren, but he stays ahead. In P5 he goes. But whilst all that was happening, Adam Halford breaks out of DRS. Curse with another 3-second time penalty. That adds a total of 6 seconds to his time already. It's lap 9 out of 25. Just simply what he doesn't want to be doing. He needs to just back off a bit, think about losing a few tenths rather losing 3 seconds. That is the common phrase to go by. Again, from yours truly. This is my way to go about it. Jesus, we're sprinkling 3 seconds everywhere at this stage. You would, in fairness, you wouldn't normally think a street circuit with lots of close-by barriers, you wouldn't have thought time penalties would be a big problem. But there's just a few areas where, you know, combined with very strict track limits, it's quite easy to pick up warnings and, as we see, penalties as these 3 are going at it again. How Tom tried it on the inside, applying the pressure. Deep goes Curse, allowing the chance for his switchback manoeuvre, but Tom wasn't close enough. Axel is playing the patient game again, which we've seen quite often. At the moment, sits highest tyre wear, 24% on the rear right, which isn't bad at this stage. The tyres are still going on, and I imagine the hards are probably a lot better conditioning overall. Theo with another penalty. Come on, lad, keep it simple, keep it calm. In fact, Theo, I think, might be dropping off pace-wise here. He now sits out of DRS range from Spread and Vapor in front of him. And they're obviously out of range from the Mercedes of Halford, who will now look to have a bit more of a lonelier race if he keeps out of DRS harm zone. Here comes Scott, another person who's on those hards. His rear right is on 12%, whole 12% difference in tyres, so confirms that really even after a lot more pitting, you can take these hards to the end. They will make it, and you will definitely survive. Tyre wear, like I say, this track, not a huge damaging factor. Race leaders yet again getting tight in the braking zone at turn 1. And it's still Curse who leads out the Ferrari of Tom. Axel in P3. But with Curse with 6 seconds of time penalties, and oh hello, we've got pit stop action. Into the pits comes Spread, Vapor, Atkins, Fatal. All going on to hard compound tyres. It's a slow stop, slow exit even for Vapor and Spread. Atkins and Fatal make the switch onto the hards. Godwin running in P12. He wanted to end his run of being called P2 Merchant. I don't think this is the way he would have ideally liked to have ended that said run of P2 finishes. Sat in P12 a bit wayward with the early stop due to potential damage after his teammate Andy crashed out at turn 4. It's put him out of order way down the field. He'll be praying for a safety car. Honestly, he'll be praying. If we do see a safety car at this point, advantage really for the hard runners, that they can switch onto the mediums, go to the end quite comfortably. Here we go, into the pits, come our two race leaders. Curse inherits the race lead, he stays up, obviously he's on the hard tyres, he can go that much longer in this race. Halford up to P2, Scott P3, all the medium runners are now coming into the pits actually. That inherits Graham, or Greza, to take himself up to P4. He's got Ollie Jump still falling behind, he's the only person on the mediums that hasn't pitted yet. I was saying that, Jesus is also one who stays out, who's just been overtaken by Vapor, and they've come up to Godwin, who's, no other words, feeling the pressure. Absolutely feeling the pressure here from those who have pitted on fresh tyres. Jesus behind, giving a bit of a safety net for these guys. So it's all about how quickly Spread needs to really clear this house. He's losing a lot of time. Jesus doesn't even have the DRS to the cars ahead. I think saving grace here is Goldwyn doesn't have the exact pace advantage as these other guys. And here comes the McLaren to get ahead of the Williams. Jesus, the Spread didn't get ahead. That could be crucial, that. Costing him more valuable time in this stint. He looks to go the long way round the outside and finally gets ahead, but the damage has been done. He's now got a 1.5 second gap to the cars ahead. He'll need to very quickly reel those guys in. Curse, Adam, Scott, Greza still staying out. Same for Ollie Jumper. He's also still staying out as he's got the likes of Tom and Axel quickly approaching them. It's going to be how quickly can these guys clear the traffic. That'll determine how much of a gap these guys can get to the likes of Curse, who will go on to the quicker medium compound tyres. Quite surely, I reckon, probably in the next few laps, as Fatal's out. Fatal is out of this session. He's at turn 4 again. Turn 4 claims another victim after Fatal scoring points at the British Grand Prix last week. He is now out of the race. And no safety car signs there though, as Ollie Champ having to really sit the back end, and Axel getting alongside to join the fun on this battle. I think Ollie Champ is going to back right off and potentially visit the pits quite soon here, as Axel doesn't get ahead of the Ferrari crucially, but he's got a good exit out the final corner. The Ferrari without any DRS, strangely, is Curse out of the session. Race leader crashes at turn 4 again, and the virtual safety car comes out just as these guys were looking to over. Oh no, it's a full safety car. Upgraded, the full safety car now comes out. Godwin speeds into the pit lane. He is looking at another disastrous race here, but a bit of a saving grace race leader and one of the championship contenders out of this race. Crucial moment. And a big sigh of relief for those who stayed out on the hards. They've got a good chance to get some extra positions as these guys will switch on to the mediums. In fact, I'll tell you what, I think everyone will be coming into the pits again, as we've already seen a load of them go back onto the medium tyres. Arctic Skull, on the other hand, forced to go on to hards. Jesus, go on to soft tyres. Not a bad shout, in fairness. He could get away with that one. Big plays. Ollie Champ staying out that bit extra, it has cost him. It's cost him big time. A only option is to either go onto the soft compound tyres or onto the hards. Softs might make it, but they'll be so very slow in the final few laps. They'd become so much under pressure. His safest bet is to go hards and just pray that he can stay with everyone. Oh, Halford speeds into the pit lane. It is a big thing, speeding into the pit lane here. You get 10-second time penalty for doing so, and it basically ends your race. 10 seconds, you know, previously a 5-second time penalty for speeding into the pit lane. You could get away with that, you could make up the time. Front wing change for Greza here. Interesting. Running with potential damage. That explains a bit of an off-pace situation. Oh. Oh, I see, this is interesting. Tom stays out on the hards. Everyone else around him is pitted on mediums. Scott's in P3 after all this. Go on, lad. Halford in P2 because everyone else has come into the pits. And there we go. Confirmation. Ollie went for the option of going on the softs. He didn't want to go the hards. Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest with you guys, Fatal Curse, you've done the exact same thing as Andy earlier on. Turn 4 is claiming so many drivers, not just in the qualifying session, now in the race. 3 drivers crashing out at Turn 4 simultaneously. It's that there is like it's almost like a slight invisible sticky out barrier that you see at Turn 4. And it is like it's made with a giant spike that is just ripping off the tyres. And that's the end of your race. You can't do anything about it. It's happened to me previous season on the F23 game. Slight tap and boom, there goes your tyre. And it's obviously still ever present in this game. Don't be surprised by the fact that it says virtual safety car on the screen. I can confirm it is definitely a full safety car, and it's going to be going for another lap here as we're waiting for the likes of Goldwyn, Dartlord and Atkins to join up to the back of the grid. Goldwyn serving an extra pit stop in order to make sure he removes that 10-second speeding in the pit lane penalty. Which is smart, he's at the back anyway, you might as well, as there's positions on the line coming up on this restart, and what a potential mix-up we have in the grid order. We'll go for it shortly here. Quick drink of the own water. Once the air dries out in here, it's terrible. So, run through your grid order at the moment. Tom leads. He's on the hards that he pitted on a few laps ago. And one of the only 2 drivers on the hards, the other one at Scott, but he's down in P13. Halford in P2. Scott running 3rd. Axel running 4th. Ollie Champ in 5th place. Vapor 6th. Then you've got Greza in 7th. Spread 8th. Jesus 9th. Theo in 10th. Akadre running 11th, P12 for Davies, P13 for Attic, Atkins 14th, Dartlord 15th, and Goldwyn running the last of the runners 16th. Remember, top 15 score points in this league. So we're almost at the point where everyone will be able to score points, just one place that isn't. Lost from this race, Curse, Fatal and Andy, all from crashing at turn 4. Misfit's the only one to retire in the pit lane. You are very right, Fatal. He has completely cocked up with the 10-second time penalty. Honestly, genuinely honestly, if there's like another safety car or another virtual safety car after this, it will be worth for him just coming to the pits and serving that 10-second time penalty. Safety car in this lap. The safety car will now pull off and go into the pits. Tom effectively becomes the new pace car. He will decide when to restart this race. DRS will be disabled for the first lap. They need to complete that one racing lap again for it to become re-enabled. Tom desperately weaving, trying to get some sort of tyre temperature, and I can confirm he doesn't have any tyre temperature in those tyres. They are completely and utterly flat cold. He's leaving this one as late as possible. You could go up to the first safety car line, which you just saw it there. That is when you're allowed to overtake. Ignore the fact that this is a safety car on the screen. It's a glitch on the spectator menu, unfortunately. I can't do anything about that one, as immediately on the restart, Ollie Champ taking advantage. We're trying to take advantage of the soft tyres, but it's Axel, because under pressure from Vapor, who steps up into P4 ahead of Axel. Loses a position early on. There's Axel on the restart. Ollie Champ a little bit out of place through turns 5 and 6. But gets back onto the racing line, and that was a car going massively off. Who was that? Was that the Haas? Don't think so. I think it might be the Red Bull and the Haas that both went a bit off. But here comes Vapor on the attack on Scott. Gets ahead into P3, challenging Adam Halford straight away here to try and get into P2. What a restart from the McLaren driver. This has been brilliant here as he sticks in to the slipstream using all the overtake, heading towards turn 22. Does he make the move? This could be ballsy. Down the inside he goes. They make a little bit of contact. A big sliding from the Mercedes, and that allows Axel, Scott, Ollie all to sneak through under pressure as he's got no battery left to defend. Through goes Axel up into P2. Scott having a look. Ollie Champ there in the background. They go side by side by side all the way through towards the final corner. Axel ahead of the lot of them. Big Congo Lion as Tom leads away through the rest of the field. 1.6 seconds is the gap out in front. Halford under pressure again. This time from Scott round the outside he goes. Ollie Champ trying to find his way through on them soft tyres. They make a little bit of contact. Be careful through turn 4, lads. It is a dangerous corner. And there's still, oh my god, big wobble from both of them. And again, more contact. Oh my word. Well held. Spread dives down the inside, round the back corner. And he has done it. Through he goes into P6. Greza, what was once leading a train of cars, now in a battle in that top 10, where the bigger of the points are scored, to say the least. Tom still leads out in front, but has quickly been caught by Axel, Vapor, who are chipping in the background. Axel's got a time penalty, a 3-second time penalty. Vapor's on 10, Halford on 10. There's a few other 3 and 6-second time penalties up and down the order, but Axel with a time penalty is rare. And if Tom can stay within DRS range, fastest lap 1:30.1. Tom can stay within DRS range, that could be the end of his race winning streak, and he's going to know that, and he is going to be absolute foot to the floor towards the end of it. That was a bit too close to the barriers. How do you get away with that? Godwin making his way up through the field. He's in P10. He was 16th originally on this restart. He's made good progress so far and looks to get ahead of Jesus here. Down the inside we go. That's a little bit tight. Just manages to complete the move though, but Jesus is coming back at him on them soft tyres. But yeah, I think going into there, going side by side, is just a recipe for disaster in all honesty. The cars nip and tuck. Scott leads the train, just narrowly missing out on DRS the cars ahead. He's got nearly a 1.5 second gap to the top three as Halford flies round his outside with the DRS assistance into the final corner. Scott will pick up the dosage along that start-finish straight though in response, and to help him pull away from the other attacking cars behind him, spread up to 6th place ahead of Ollie Champ, who's getting under pressure from Rezin. In fact, he's already ahead by the time they break for turn 1. Arriving on scene, Godwin looking to take even more advantage. He tried in turn 4, had to bail out. I think a lot of these guys in the same parties of each other probably reporting the fact that turn 4 is killing them, quite literally. And they're probably going to start taking a bit more caution, taking it a bit wider than normal. Axel just breaking out of DRS range from Tom. That could be crucial. Are we seeing the first drive to really push the limit, see if they can break out of that almighty train of cars? Tom's responding though and burning absolutely everything, as quite clearly so has Axel. Tom did manage to get within DRS range, they'll have a dosage down the back straight and will get back in range by the time they go to the start-finish straight as well. Could be curtains for Axel. Further back, it's Godwin on Greza, 2Gs. No, I didn't like that. Let's not say that again. The 1G, the 1 Greza. As the two asses switch positions. Jesus ahead of Ollie Champ. Ollie Champ seems to be struggling a bit more than Jesus. Their time we're at 20% on the area right. 4 more laps to go in this Grand Prix, and what a Grand Prix it's been. Here comes Godwin, he's just biding his time, switching the battery to deployment levels none, so we can get maximum charge and burn it all on these straights with the DRS to try and get ahead up into P7. He's on the recovery job. P2 Merchant is off the cards for him really here. I'm not gonna lie. Ooh, Vapor sneaks ahead of Tom. Both of them with DRS on the back of Axel. Like I say, I have to admit, it does look like Axel's run of winning the races here under pressure from coming to an end with carrying that corner cutting penalty. Scott with no penalties. He's got to keep in mind that 2 people ahead of him are carrying 10-second time penalties. He's on for a chance of getting on the podium here. And considering how qualifying went, he'll be absolutely delighted with that one. One chap picks up 1, Tom picks up 1. Axel's had a saving grace. Picks up a 3-second time penalty. Things are opening up. If Halford catches these top 3 and brings Scott along, Scott could get a P1. It's not entirely impossible, lads, let's be honest. This is F1, anything can happen. For a moment, we'll look at it closely during the race, and in the blink of an eye, he was out of the race. Along with his teammate Fatal. Both Alpines not going to be scoring any points. Both of them out of the race. It's looking like it's not gone down all the way, sunk to the bottom of the order in P16. If these lot start battling pretty hard, Alpha has a chance to close up, bring Scott with him, and looks to spread, Godwin. There's positions on the cards for these guys. They've got to keep it calm, keep it cool, and pray for incidents out in front. Axel still leads and now technically holds P1. Even applying the penalty situation. Tom would still jump Vapor as he has that 10 seconds. Yellow flags out towards the back. It's Old Champ and Atkins. Oh, it's Ollie. Ollie's got massive front wing damage. And again, oh! Contact in the background between Arctic and Davies. Both of them choosing the same line to go at each other. They're going to quickly see him approaching their Haas that's got damage. I think he pulls out the way, doesn't even get involved. And unfortunately, it's just not gone well for Ollie Champ again. It's a dreadful start to his season. You have to admit. And in fairness, sometimes it's been. Australia was an unfortunate one. Britain, he got a few points, and it's fallen away again. At Saudi Arabia, looking like he's not going to score any points, as Dark Lord will potentially jump in by the time he comes into the pits. Davies and that tick going for it on the corner exit. Arctic just got ahead, but Davies back with the DRS. They're going to find it out down towards turn 1 we go. Dabbing it under, braking. Davies stays just ahead of McLaren. Further out in front, you've got Vapor in the lead of the Grand Prix. But at what cost? Axel holding his own in P2. Just behind him is Tom, still applying the pressure here. Still has a chance to try and get it on track. Scott got ahead of Halford. Halford starting to struggle a bit. It's in his own in P4. Godwin also getting involved in this battle. It's still not over for Godwin. Having a great recovery to what was becoming a pretty poor race. Still has a chance to get a podium here on the final couple of laps. Halford drags it round the outside on Scott. What a move. Scott's got the DRS, he's under pressure from the Williams with Godwin behind. This is crucial positions for a potential podium as they get very close. Under braking, Scott momentarily will stay ahead. He just needs to beat Godwin. That's his main focus. As Godwin picks up a time penalty, that's cost him. That's cost him the podium. Tom building up that battery on the final lap of this Grand Prix. He knows what he needs to do. All he needs to do, overtake Axel to get the race win. Axel, meanwhile, if he wants to continue that win streak, needs to stay ahead at all cost of the Ferrari. Doesn't matter about McLaren, he's got 10 seconds. And here comes Tom, nice and early. Oh, he's going to get boxed out though, but still tries it round the outside. Oh, what a move. What a move. It's not over yet. Axel's come back at him all the way to the final corner. not going to have a chance to dive up the inside. It's the drag to the finish line. Who comes out ahead? I believe it's going to be Axel. He does take it on the line. Axel wins in Saudi Arabia. Top P2, Scott up to P3, Greza up to P4. Godwin recovering P5, spread 6th. Vapor 7th, Jesus 8th, Halford dropped down to 9th. Akadre 10th, Theo 11th, Davies up to 12th, ahead of Atkins in 13th, Attic dropped to 15th. Dark Lord is going to pick up a few points. And what an end to that race. Lovely stuff. So, what an end to that race. Fortunately, we're not going to have time to do interviews today. Unfortunately. As we await to get onto the race results screen, that would be nice. Game, please. Yes, podium excitement. Need to get the race results. The fastest lap in the end did go to Vapor at 1:29.5. He'll pick up that extra point for the fastest lap. Axel continues his race win streak. And actually, unable to do the podium interviews of today, unfortunately. Next week, I don't know if I'll be there, but if I believe, if I remember off by heart, we'll switch over so I can remember this. Have a look at the calendar. Next week, the drivers will have to take on Hungary, a proper circuit, kind of like Monaco, but without the barriers. Could be an interesting one. I don't know if I'll be there next week for that one, but keep an eye on the Discord chat for any updates on that. Thank you guys for watching. Like I say, apologies, no interviews today, not able to do so, but thank you guys for watching. Enjoy racing nights. Come on, England.